So we're gonna make a pasta out of stinging nettle. You can use lamb quarters. You can use dandelion, spinach. You just have to have it in dried form. And so this is a concept, right? You can infuse your pasta with vegetable matter after it's dried, and all you have to do is just take it and kind of crush it. And I'm going to put this in the bowl here. And then I'm going to just kind of smash it up a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to put this in a powdery form. And part of that is actually having a nice coffee grinder. So, you know, we're going to use that in just a second. So I'm going to grind this up with my hand. And what we're doing is we're using stinging nettle. Okay. Alright, so what we'll need is a coffee grinder. That works, you know, I mean, just to make it quick and simple. You can grind it up if you want to, which takes a bit of time. But a coffee grinder that never sees coffee is probably best. And you can take your plant matter, and I'm using this towel, paper towel, to help me kind of funnel this into the coffee grinder. What we want to do is we want to powder it. We want to powder the plant matter. Like so. Like that. So then we can take this plant matter again. If you need to, it'd be good to wear a mask because some of the powder might cause you to be a little congested, depending on who you are. But basically what we have is we have a powdered plant matter here, which we're going to add to our pasta base. Okay? And for this, it's going to be stinging nettle. It could be dandelion. It could be Labsquarter. The concept is you just powder your plant matter. Alright, another thing I wanted to mention, again, I like to keep things fairly rustic and primitive. As you see, I've used, in order to pulverize or powder the plant material, I've used an automatic coffee grinder like this. If you don't have this, a mortar and pestle like this or a molcajete will work just fine. You just take your plant matters and you just kind of crush it up until it's a fine powder. Or you can just do it by hand. It'll just take a while. And the texture of your dough may be more rustic than what you would see kind of store-bought, being really nice and smooth and stuff. So if you don't have, you know, the modern appliance like this, you can certainly use old school tools like a molcajete or a mortar and pestle, or just use your hands. Alright, this pasta recipe calls for 2 egg yolks, and I'm just going to demo how I separate eggs. See, so basically gently crack on the side, and then gently split the egg in half as best you can, and you're going to cradle the egg yolk in one and then pass it back and forth to the other side, and then let the white part, the egg white, fall into a separate container like that. Just do it a few times and then you can transfer. If you get a little bit of egg white in with, that's just fine. But these are farm fresh eggs because they're brown, so the shells are a little bit softer, so I've got to be careful. for a clean demo. Just want to split it in half again, so you have one cradled and the other, like that, and you just pass it back and forth. So this is how you separate eggs for cooking and baking. Okay. So we've got our 2 egg yolks for this pasta recipe, and then I'm going to save the egg whites for some baking later on today. Okay, we're all ready to blend together our ingredients. So I have a teaspoon of salt, I have 2 egg yolks, 1/4 cup of water, a 1/4 cup of our plant matter, in this case it's Stinging Nettle, and 2 1/4 cups of flour. So we're going to just mix this all together. So in a larger bowl here, like so, we pour in the flour. And then pour in your plant matter. And then we're going to add our salt. And then we can add our egg yolks. And normally what people will do is they'll make a little divot in the dry goods here, and then add their egg yolk. And then we'll pour in our water. And it just kind of can mix this around until it's all moist. Mix this up together, and eventually we're going to get our hands dirty as we blend this together. All I like to do is grab this, and we can then use our hands to kind of blend and mix this together. And we want to try to form a firm ball. I'm going to knead this a little bit. Make sure that this gets thoroughly mixed. Alright, so I'm going to throw some flour down. And what I want to do is I want to be able to roll this out. So, I'm going to powder up the stick that I'm using, the rolling pin. Alright, so I tried to roll this out as thin as possible. I could keep going. It probably needs a little bit more water. But for this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a square as best I can, and we can add these. We can add these bits to another batch, or we can roll these out and add more. So we have this bits here that we can add just a little bit of water to, and we can roll these out and make even more noodles for this. So I'm gonna put this aside. But essentially, the process is, you know, once you roll it out, you gotta roll it out some more. You notice I made a triangle and I rolled it out, stretch it out, and I'm rolling it towards me. Right? Going that way. And then now I'm going to go the other way. Flip it over. I'm going to do the other way. Nice. So what I want to do is now take these and then I can roll them up. Just make a roll like this. Like that. And they're not going to stick to each other. Fold these. Chop off the ends. We can use those. But for clean noodles, the concept is once you have your roll like this and you chop, now you have your long noodle like this. Okay, and once you have your water boiling, you could they make noodles. That's all I got to say. If they break apart, you just open them up like this again, and this is more noodles. Okay. You can, if you're not going to use them right away, you can sit them on a rack and let them dry. They will dry out like regular pasta. And then, but to reconstitute them for your meal, just put them in some boiling, salted boiling water, and there you go. So this is really more or less the concept. So all I'm doing is just gonna cut this like this, and we will have our pasta. Like so. And then these are like little ravioli gimmicks that you can put in boiling water, and they're edible. You could do it this way if you want to. And basically, this is pasta, right? So we want strings, so I'm just gonna unfurl these like that, and we have pasta strings like that. Okay, we got some boiling water, a little bit of salt, and some olive oil in here. And then we're just going to place the pasta in. And so I have the pasta here already laid out. Gonna lay it in. I want to lay them out separately because they're fresh. I don't want them sticking together. right here. This is Stinging Nettle noodles, and it could be any sort of noodle. It could be Mugwort, it could be Dandelion, it could be pretty much anything. And then here we have it dressed up with a white cheese sauce. How beautiful. We have more coming up. Again, this is what we made. Steaming, piping hot. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Tasty.